And here we go.
Every time, man.
Every time. Oh, love you. Love to reminisce over you, hip hop, P-Rock, the whole culture. The Reminisce Show. Here we are once again. How you doing, brother? How you doing, Logik?
Man, I'm doing blessed, highly favored, man. I'm excited for this, man. Like, yo, this is going to be such a powerful interview session. I don't even call it interview, just some brothers coming together, man, and catching up in this reasoning, talking life, man, hip hop. It's just always good, man. So I'm excited for this, man. I'm excited, man. But things are good, things are busy, we're getting ready for Black History Month, African Heritage Month. So as you know, Stone from Africa, we're always in the mix doing all kinds of things. And but I'm good though, like busy but productive. And but how are you doing, brother?
Yo, I love to hear that, fam. I love to hear that because the work that you do and the way you do it, when you do it, how consistent you are, it's just a constant inspiration. And I'm just happy that you're continuing to do your stuff because it's like the world needs it, the people need it, and it's dope, man. But I'm good, man. I'm good. Like I'm mostly happy. I'm dealing with some challenges, but honestly, doing this research for this SHAD interview has done so many wonderful things for my education and really inspired me and opened my mind in ways that I didn't quite expect. Like it's just that I'm just gonna say I didn't expect it.
I agree, man. I had to really go in the bag and start really looking and like, yo, dude has been like consistent for like a long time, yo. You know what I mean? There's some exclusive footage, that I'm gonna bring up, you know what I mean, that I was able to capture back in the day. And yo, man, dude has been consistent, man, holding it down, like, like total Reminisce Show vibes, yo, like, so I'm excited, man. You know what I mean? Like, dude is like it's like a prophet in the game, yo, like low key. Like, you know what I mean? Don't mistake his humbleness, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude's a beast, yo.
Yeah, and I love it. Like it's honestly he's humble magnificence. He's the perfect encapsulation of both because I've been enjoying his rhymes and he's like not shy to say, yo, I'm the best MC. And it's like that's what hip hop is. It's like, yo, I think I'm the illest. I'm the best that I'll ever be. He said it one way. Absolutely. And like, but at the same time, he's like, yo, I'm here for the people. I'm a servant. I don't, it's not about fame. It's not about money. It's not about awards. None of that. It's about the people and all of us achieving peace and unity. And it's the perfect balance. It really is.
That's what's up, man. So, yo, like, no further ado, man. We got him in the virtual green room, man. We want to bring him up right now, man. Like, brother's here, man. Like, yo. Hey. Jeez.
Yes.
Yo, how's my sound real quick? Is it okay?
Sound kind of muffled.
Is it muffled? Okay, so what it is give me 1 second. It's just the it's Bluetooth. I'm gonna take off these headphones.
Okay.
I'm gonna take
headphones. Man. There we go.
And this will probably be better.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, man, we need that crisp, but we don't want to miss nothing, man. Like we trying to get that clean audio.
brother. Hanging on your words like monkey bars, like oh my God.
Yes. Okay. Yo, thank you for that intro. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you so much. We do a check-in. Like I don't want to super gush, but like this, I'm so happy that you're here. This is wonderful, and like it's infinite, eternal thank you for this, Shad. Thank you.
Gladly. That's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Word.
Yeah, man. So like,
we do a check-in usually.
Yeah. That being said, like how are you doing, man? Like how are you feeling?
Whew, how am I feeling? At the end of the day, ultimately I'm well, but these are strange times, this Omicron thing and just not being able to be with people, You know,
Mm.
I'm fortunate I have my family here in the home, but I'm a social person. I'm also habituated by my lifestyle as an artist to being out and about and connecting all the time,
Yeah.
and being around connection and community. So, you know, uh, that's something. It's not a small thing, and I feel it. But ultimately, I'm well. I'm healthy. My people are good. So yeah, I'm good.
That's
Good to
wonderful.
hear, man.
Whew, yeah, man. Yo, bro,
Notes.
I always do my homework. I really try to do the ultimate interviews. I love this culture. I love the people in it. I don't know if we'll get to them all, but I'm just saying, like, I first and foremost, I started crying in the middle of doing some of the research on the song because I've listened to a lot of your stuff. I found a few new things, and it really started to make me cry with the level of wisdom and insight and beautiful humanity that you brought. So, I mean, I'm also saying that to say I don't want to gush over your greatness and brilliance for the whole of the time. I want to have a little fun. And be a bit of a critical journalist and just bring a little balance to a tiny bit of dark, but it's gonna be a lot of light.
Let's go.
Well, it's cool. It's cool to be able to really get into it. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of interviews I can't really go into detail about whatever it may be, lyrics, experience, whatever, because people might not understand when you get into the details. But I know we can go there, so I'm ready.
Oh man, brother, please unleash the clip. Like this is a space where we really represent and celebrate the culture, and we really uplift conversation. Like, there is no thought that is unshareable here. We would love to hear it.
Dope.
But yeah. I don't want to dominate.
It off, bro.
I'm a mad groupie in a way. But yeah. Logik, you got we're sharing the questions, but yeah. Logik,
I'm gonna let you set it off, man, because I'll get into it. But go ahead, man. You're just like super excited, man. I know you're ready to go. Let's get into it, my brother, man.
I'm gonna be a little silly. I'm gonna just be a little silly, just because you have so many great songs. I love it, and I love Twitter. So I'm gonna just start here because on I get it. You say maybe I'm not big because I don't blog or Twitter, dog and bitter. Seeing you, and you made another reference too, and like seeing you on Twitter once in a while, I was like, I love this guy, and I want to see him. And I'm like,
he's trying, man. He's trying.
I'm playfully poking at you, but I think Twitter is the most authentic information platform. So I just want to know, what brings you to Twitter, and just how do you feel about the internet and
yeah. Well, it's so funny looking back at some of that stuff, right? Like, I wrote that album came out 2010 where I put out that lyric, right? So first of all, blogs are, they're around kind of, but not as much. And then Twitter, went from around that time, something quite new, to basically a full-on institution of social media. Like, you borderline have to participate there in some way. There's things I like, and there's things I've come to like about Twitter. So I'm just behind the times always with all this stuff. Even TikTok now, I can look at it and I can go, I can't participate now, but I probably will, and it will be fine. But right now, I don't get the culture of it yet.
Yeah.
And Twitter's like that. So now it's like, I understand the culture of Twitter. I understand good tweets. I don't know. Like, every platform has its own culture and language and style, right? And Twitter definitely has its own. So one thing I like about it, honestly, during the pandemic, I became more active on it. Just boredom, just socializing in a way. There were times where there'd be a playoff game and I just live tweet the game, whatever.
Yeah.
And then honestly, it was nice. It was a nice thing during a time where I'm used to watching those games with other people, and it kind of felt like it a little bit. except for in a really funny way where, you know, there's some I'm interacting with fans. There's one game, Katie Lang.
What?
We were tweeting back and forth.
Katie Lang's into the NBA?
She's a crazy Portland Trailblazers fan.
Wow. Well, we blessed her quite well. Oh, what our dude? Oh man, she's into wow. Okay.
She's crazy. I said something about Dame Lillard, and she just hopped in the replies. So, anyways, all that to say, you know, part of my participation in Twitter is like you sort of have to, and another part of it is its own kind of fun.
Okay.
And then of course it's like news, you know what I mean? The brain trust is there, so you can get up on a lot of things if you want to use it that way too. But that's my evolution. That's my evolution with Twitter.
Yeah, it's just great to see you wherever I see you, brother. So like, I'm so cheeky.
Yeah,
I wanted you to tweet back in 2010, but like I love that you were working on the rhymes. Anyways,
yeah.
It's well, good to see you.
Yeah, well, I mean, speaking of like 2010, man, I actually want to take it back to like 2007 to this moment, and I'm curious to know, like, you know, like what was, you know, Shad's experience during this particular moment in time. And let's play this real quick, yo.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yo, you want to tell me a bit about that particular experience? Like, what was going on right there, man?
That's amazing. That's like a pocket in Canadian hip hop history. I feel like that's underdocumented. That micro era.
Indeed,
that was
man.
Manifesto. That was probably the first Manifesto.
That was the first one at Nathan Phillips Square. Yes, very first Manifesto.
Very first Manifesto, and that was during. That was like a freestyle session.
Yep.
Kind of live mixtape type of thing, Canadian hip hop history sort of moment. And I remember being so excited about getting to hop up in the mix with that group.
Yep.
Of MCs. I don't think I'd put out my second album yet. Like I was really in early stages, and so that was like those are all my heroes.
Indeed.
You know?
You look really excited on stage too, man.
I was
really excited, like happy
so
to be
excited.
There. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just really powerful to see like how, like, you know, Manifesto has like evolved like over the years. And you know, yeah, like, you know, like what was like your initial involvement like with Manifesto? Like how did you get plugged in?
So I think I got booked to play it. My manager G, well, I know all the, you know, Che and Ryan and that whole gang. We all sort of came up around the same time, but I wasn't super aware of all the, you know, inner workings of that festival starting. But that first iteration, I think I played a set. I was booked to play a set, and then got to hop up for that moment. And definitely you can see the excitement. And yeah, and it's been cool to see how that's evolved over the years. I was on the board actually a couple of years ago. So that felt like a nice full circle moment to go from one of the artists that was starting alongside that festival in terms of the culture in the city and hip hop in the city. And then to be able to try to participate as far as like offering that same environment to the next cohort was really cool. So yeah, that was special. I saw Daniel in that clip.
Yeah,
Turnia in that clip.
Reminisce Love, yeah.
Mishy Me is there.
Miss Me.
Yeah, no, like lots of vibes.
I love what you said right there, Shad, about it being a uncherished micro era, because it was definitely a transition. It was like a very powerful moment in Canada where we really started to, the modern day legends weren't on top, but we were like, the entire community was really coming up on another level, and it was transitioning out of New York and America. So like, you're so right, and I hope there's more documentaries and music from that time that comes out. But it leads me to another question. Mentors, and you being just such a wonderful mentor, and an inspiration for the community, and just really just reflecting that in such a perfect essence. I wanted to know if there are any mentors to Shad besides, I mean, in hip hop and outside of hip hop, if you could maybe speak of some mentors, because on my research, like, I love hearing what you talk about. You're like, I love Lauryn Hill, I love Outkast, and I was surprised to hear you say Razzcast too, because like Razzcast is like a teacher father to me, and like these people were my uncles. Nas is like my uncle, like, and so I just wonder, like, if you could speak on your mentors, hip hop, authors, actors, family.
Yep. So I'll say this, in terms of mentors through listening, like the artists I listened to that I felt like really taught me everything. I do have to bring up Razzcast, because when I heard Soul on Ice, that was like a really formative time where that was one of the first albums that made me go, okay, like you can do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. You know what I mean?
Fred? Whoa. Yeah.
I didn't know that. And the way he did it too, where he's got things to say. He's got his own story. He's also got just knowledge, but then he also has this dry sense of humor.
Right.
Yeah, he's a joker.
He's a joker. So I kind of feel like in terms of rapping, when I was coming up, was some of the best we've ever heard. Like Razzcast, Black Thought, Study Black Thought, from Do You Want More on up, just kind of what he was doing, why it sounded so dope. You know what I mean? Like, it just sounded so slick every time with him. I was like, why?
Right.
And started studying that. Okay. Common was a major one that I studied.
Genius.
Because, like Razzcast, he kind of did it all. Like, he could have the punchlines and all that and be very witty, but obviously he could also be super, super heartfelt and personal, right? He could really get into his own story, and he could ask certain questions, and then he would have these like moments too lyrically that just stood out for me that I never heard anybody say. Trying to think, there was a track on One Day It'll All Make Sense, where he says like, "This Western way of life ain't native to me."
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. Like, I never really like
word.
Hard, just, just the way he put it out there like that, like,
Yes.
So I learned a lot from him. Outkast, there's a feeling that I heard in Outkast music that I feel like I chase it when I'm making music. Like, when I heard Outkast, I felt transported.
Yes.
I felt like I don't know where I am anymore. I'm in another world a little bit, and I'm disoriented in the best way. And so I always push myself. I'm always reaching for like a little bit of that with my albums. A lot of my music is very straightforward. I try to be clear, but I loved that about Outkast, where it was vague in the best way. It was, you're just kind of transported. That's the best way I can put it, you know? So I was a student of that. Those are all my mentors. And then Lauren as well. Obviously her talent was outstanding, but then I think of the Unplugged album, and that's also always like a mentor for me. That's like a beacon in terms of her courage in doing that.
Yeah. The Mystery of Iniquity.
Plus the bars were insane. The lyrics
I was like,
That album's church, yo. Like it's a religious experience, a spiritual experience, man.
It's a full-on spiritual experience, and the pure courage, because I don't think people really put it in perspective. Like, she just won 5 Grammys.
Right.
For the Miseducation. She was the world conquering one. She was the one. And before that, the Fugees just sold 20 million. And then her next project was the most raw album I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. So that's always been a mentor for me, just like in terms of talent, but also courage. Mm-hmm. And then I'll say more personal mentors. There's moments that I've had with artists like Chaos, Maestro. Maestro one time drove me around Toronto and he showed me the old spots.
Whoa.
From before my era.
Wow.
You know, he showed me the Masonic Temple where they used to do all the shows, and he pulled over and he told me about all the shows.
Wow.
This was, I think, on a way out to do a session with him. But, you know, the fact that he took the time to do that and has always been encouraging. Like, he's a mentor on that level. Chaos also is a guy I always admired so much and still admire so much. And he's always been encouraging too. And he drops crazy jewels on me sometimes, or even just on the internet, that I'm like, I wonder if people are paying attention to what this guy is putting out there. He's very wise.
Very wise.
He's very, very wise. So yeah, that's mentors.
Golden story, man. Love to hear that, man. That's incredible, yo.
Thanks for that Maestro one, yo. Like, Papa is, Stro is Godfather. I mean,
you got to shout out. You got to shout out people for those moments, you know, that are like unseen, you know.
For many years, when he had time, whenever I saw Maestro, we used to get together like kind of little kids, and we used to spit a verse to each other. He's like, yo, what's your newest verse? And it was some of the most meaningful things that ever happened in my career, to just sit there and Maestro be like, yo, spit me 24 bars or 3. And I'm like, yo, this is golden to me. And like,
he really is that dude, yo. Like,
I feel you so much, man.
Yeah. No, he's great like that. Always connecting with artists, like, you know, be like empowering people, just being real, authentic, and that's hip hop right there. And he's like the OG, man. Like, he's been doing this, you know, like he doesn't need to prove nothing to nobody, you know. So the fact that he's creating that space for people and encouraging, man, it's just that's just who he is, man. So big up Stro, yo.
And you know what's cool is he's always trying to get better too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, he doesn't rest on his laurels. He's
sharp. He's sharp.
Yes.
He's sharp.
Yeah. I was surprised to see him work with Cool Keith. I was like, yo, that's amazing.
He's a student of everything, you know, and he's really always watching and trying to get better. And that inspired me too, to see, because he could rest on his laurels, no problem. Yeah. But he's out there trying to be like really trying to make the best music of his life always.
Absolutely. And I'll transition from those mentors to somebody that we had on our show, Kamal, and somebody that you've worked with multiple times. We have to bring up Kamal for as like the invisible mentor that more of the world should follow. Ian Kamal, endless love and praise. So I want to do a couple things I've never done in interview history with you, brother. I don't know if this can't be a 3-hour conversation unless you have but I got two thoughts about Kamau. Maybe a favorite lyric or moment that you've had with Kamau that you would like to share with us, or a surprising thing about yourself, because when we were talking to Kamau on our interview, Kamau revealed to us that he was into MMA, and he's like,
Wow.
yo, yeah, he's like, yo, I really check for MMA, and we were like, yo, Kamau, what? He's like, yeah, man, there's like, and he's like, there's a side of me, that's into other stuff besides light, and I was like, yo, thanks for sharing that. So like,
Word.
yo, like, is there like a surprising thing about you that you're into? Like, do you crochet, or are you like the deep sea diver, or just something random people don't know about you? Or
That's hilarious. No, but I do have a couple of stories to tell you. I really don't. Like, I just feel like, yeah, everything you can guess everything I'm into, whatever. Like,
okay.
part of it is I'm just not even into that much stuff. Like, I like TV, I like basketball, I like Friends, I like music. That's basically it. Like,
good.
But I'll share two funny stories. One is about MMA.
Oh.
So one time when I was on Q, the CBC show,
Yeah,
I was reading the intro for something, and it said blah 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 blah, mixed martial artist, blah 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 blah, and I stopped. Like, while I'm on air, I stopped, and I was like, mixed martial artist, is that what it's called? I'd never heard that, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you ran into, I don't know, like Conor McGregor, like whatever, and would he be like, hey, I'm an artist?
Yeah, really, what? What?
Word.
With blood? Like, you're like.
Anyway, I stopped the whole broadcast just to like try to discuss that. Like, that doesn't sound. I'd always heard martial arts my whole life. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I just don't think you can describe them as artists. That doesn't seem right. But anyways, that's no shade. That's just, I just don't think that's what it is. Anyways, right. Kamau, I met Kamau. Well, no, I first saw Kamau opening for Chaos sometime in the early 2000s. Again, this kind of undocumented or not fully documented era. I was in school in Waterloo, and he was performing on campus, and it was amazing. And I just knew I had to work with him, and I ended up working with him on, I think, all of my albums except for 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I worked with him, he didn't rap, he didn't do a poem. I just asked for him to talk about what he wants. There was a song called What We All Want, and I was just asked him to kind of reflect on what he wants. And that's almost my favorite moment I've had working with him, because it highlights this amazing thing about him, which is just like, there's an integrity to him.
Indeed.
He can craft words incredibly well, but what makes him really powerful, what makes people kind of quiet down as soon as he utters a word, is that there's just a depth to that guy.
Indeed.
And that you can feel in his voice.
Yes.
In like an instant, there's like a depth and an integrity to that guy. And so, yeah, to me, he's one of the great, true, powerful artists this country's produced.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's taught me things about life my father never did. Like, I straight up, like, on that level, like, I've told him that, I'm like, you are one of the great wise people in my journey, period, family or not. And like, yeah, like likewise with Logik, like, this is a 20-year brother I got right beside me here. And like,
me and Kamau both went to Oakwood, and he was like, kind of like big brother to me. I remember like, sneaking into like some of his first performances when I was underage. Man, I came through on sound check and just kind of sat in the back of the club until the show came on, and like so. Kamal's always been just that guy, man. Salute the brother right there.
Mhm.
Salute.
Yeah. But just speaking on like just like mentors, I kind of want to switch it up, and I want to really discuss, man, this incredible docu-series, man, that you have been hosting. I love documentaries. My kids always make fun of me, man. They're like, "Oh, another documentary." I'm always talking about stuff. Like I love it, man. And honestly, like I'm a huge fan of the series. It's incredible.
No.
It's well done. I'm waiting for like the curriculum around it. That's what I'm thinking. It's because I'm watching this. I'm like, where's the curriculum? Like, when's Professor Shad gonna come through, man? I'm trying to sign up to the class, yo. Like, I don't know if that's in the works.
Yeah.
I got a few more questions, but like, do you see
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity with the doc because we didn't know that we would get to make more. So we set out to make the first season.
okay,
And then when that was done, we got the opportunity to make more, and we kind of had to just go do it, but we weren't really thinking about basically what the show would become, which is really this great overview.
yeah,
It's not everything, of course,
right,
but it is a really good overview of how hip hop started and how it moved out and started to kind of evolve as it touched different local cultures. And we didn't know it would be that. And so now we get, I get notes, the director gets notes from different colleges, universities being like, hey, like, just like your question, like, is there some curriculum? Do you have edited, without the language versions? So like from high schools and elementary schools, teachers trying to show it to their students, like, and we don't have it. So that was a missed opportunity. I wish we could have done that.
To be honest, I don't feel it's like a missed thing, man. I think you can still do it, to be honest. Like I know it takes some time and whatnot or whatever, but because we're dealing with history and truth and content, like that, like what you guys captured is still going to be true 10 years from now. Like, it's what happened, right? It's an account of it. So I just want to put it out there, like there's so much, man, like so much that was covered in there. Like one thing that I really enjoyed was like the Teddy Riley part with like Pharrell and how Pharrell like did the ghostwriting on Rump Shaker. I was like, what? I did not know that at all. Like just the history. Like I love, this is why I love documentaries. Like I'm like a nerd when it comes to that kind of stuff, and those gems and how things just connect. And how things like almost happen by accident. A lot of it just happens by accident, by chance. And it just reminds me of just that's just how hip hop is. It just evolves, like, just you put one and one together and something comes out of that. A lot of the people that you covered, I mean, like CeeLo Green, Melly Mel, Snoop, Shock G was one that was also covered. Rest in peace to Shock G. I'm curious to know, like, that experience, like connect with him now that he's passed and whatnot. Like, was there any kind of backstories or like what was that day in particular like?
So I think I didn't do the Shock G interview, if I remember correctly, because he was in, I think he was in Tampa. I had to fly out, so I didn't get to connect with him. But by all accounts, he was like the best dude, and so so smart and gifted, and I was so happy that the show got to present him in that light, as a real brilliant musician. Because of course, a lot of people didn't know that. They knew the Humpty Dance. They didn't know this dude was like a real serious musician. Boom.
Yeah. As you can see, man, I got the exclusives.
He was a serious musician, and he was a very creative artist, right? And like you brought up connection, he's obviously a student of Parliament Funkadelic and George Clinton, and what he was doing was continuing that legacy, but in hip hop, because that was the next wave. That was his culture. That was him and his peers. So he was doing something really brilliant and connected musically to history, and to culture. And so I was just glad that he got to be shown in that light.
True
And
indeed,
of course,
man.
and of course he brought us Pac. He brought Pac to the world.
Yup.
Come on now.
Yes, sir. Yes, like if he never made the Humpty Dance, which is a timeless, awesome jam, like just doing that alone, like thank you, like arguably maybe the greatest hip hop spirit, whatever, like for me.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know, like, is there going to be like a season 5? I try to go online and it's like, it's like kind of speculating. It's like there's not much information. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing in the works. So Netflix asked for seasons 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
We made season 1 for HBO Canada, and Netflix licensed that, and then they asked for 2, 3, and 4, and we haven't heard from them since. So there's nothing in the works, but that partly makes sense to me because we ended the series around the mid 2000s. So you kind of can't go too far ahead too soon. You need a little bit of perspective. So I think that we could probably pick it up soon if Netflix was interested. But I understand taking a break because it's hard to talk about, let's say the early 2010s.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah.
With some real perspective. But I do think it would be interesting to touch on Toronto.
There we go. That's what I'm saying. Well, Toronto, maybe I don't know, like the UK and like other places, like how hip hop has gone international. Like I would love to see like the continent and Africa, South America, things of that nature would be pretty cool. Just to speak a little more about the series. I love backstories and whatnot. Like, was there like any like interviews that that maybe were supposed to happen but didn't happen, or you're like striving to interview someone and they came mad late, or like I don't know, like you ran out of film or something? Like,
really?
Like tell me some of those stories.
So there's one night I think we eventually got Cameron, but there was one night we waited outside his house for like maybe 4 hours.
Okay.
Cameron, you and Cameron, that was wow.
That hurt. This was always a risk, right? When you line up an interview, you never know.
Yeah.
So that night, Cam, we were like outside his house for like 4 hours. We could tell he was in there, but just like no one answering the door.
Really?
I'm trying to think of other ones. Rick Rubin, we got a yes. We really wanted Rick Rubin for season 1, and we got a yes, but then he had to cancel last minute. And in retrospect, this was like 2013. In retrospect, we think it was when he was working on Yeezus. Like we think he got an emergency bat signal and had to go rescue the Kanye album. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's always a risk with those guys as well. At that tier, is they can have legitimately pressing business to attend to. You know what I mean? And then just doesn't work. But I remember that one hurt. The easiest place for interviews was Atlanta.
Okay. I love
everybody
Atlanta.
there was so cool, and we had great producers on the ground. But Atlanta also just has this very positive community energy. Yeah. And like
they want it. Yeah.
They just are down for stuff.
They share. Like,
They share.
Yeah, Atlanta's
down for stuff.
Atlanta seems to have the community ethic that Toronto had at a certain point, but Toronto never had the economic ethic that Atlanta has. Atlanta has the community love. They have the like we're Southern, and like the West Coast didn't feel us, and New York didn't feel us, so we have to support each other. And then they did it, and like Toronto, like Atlanta burst up in ways that Toronto really should have.
Bro, you just said it all. So I'd never been to Atlanta until we were filming for the doc, right? Mm-hmm. And after spending like 2-3 weeks there, it became clear to me why they dominate hip hop. it became clear to me that as soon as they cared about hip hop, they were actually going to take over.
Mm.
And the rest of us just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's all the things you said. There's the community vibe. There's the economic side. So, you know, Atlanta is the Black Mecca in America. There's this long history of Black business, Black success, Black leaders, Black leaders.
Yeah.
So there's just this optimism.
Yeah.
Like, of course, like we can do anything.
Yes.
So, you know, like you can see in the doc, like they just were on some bass music. And R&B. They didn't care about hip hop for the longest. As soon as they did, you know, you can see in the doc, it's like TLC, Arrested Development,
come on,
Crisscross,
come on.
You know, and we thought that was a blip in the radar. Okay, then Outkast, Goody Mob, we thought that was a blip in the radar.
Yeah.
Really, it was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. Word.
Like they just, you know. So yeah, so to your question, the opposite of like the difficult interviews to line up, Atlanta was just everybody. CeeLo was like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, CeeLo.
Organized Noise, yeah, let's do it. Like all
Organized Noise, yo.
Oh man, so heartwarming. So if we can transition into there's a couple things I would love to know if these moments happen in your reality, connecting to certain artists. And if we can end with Kanye, maybe that would be great, because there's a lot to talk about with Kanye, and I really want to give you space to talk about your religion and hip hop and really like absolutely that you've taught me and guided me with light that I'd never seen from anybody in the culture. But before we get there, I want to ask if has William Griffin heard any of Rakim North Pole Edition's music? Do you know if Rakim ever heard your rhymes, bro? Like,
oh wow. No, I don't think so. You know who heard my stuff though is Craig G.
Craig G.
There was a line on that song about Craig G, and he liked that.
Did he? Yeah, I know. Did he? What did he
liked that.
What? Yeah. What did he say?
No, he was like, yeah, he liked the line, but you know, he liked the track. I remember that. I was hyped on that. Not Rakim though. We interviewed Rakim. That also took a long time. We waited a long time for him, but like that's fair. It was like post show. Right. But yeah, no. So no Rakim. No
okay.
Rakim.
There's just a few. I mean, I'm like just nerdy like that. I'm sorry. Like so Jay-Z never heard like not bad for some immigrants. Okay, you cleared that without him here. Okay.
No, actually, that's me on that record. What? Well, no, wait. We sample him on the intro, but in the choruses, it's actually me.
Oh, okay.
Doing my Jay-Z impression.
Right.
Thank you. Like these are like lifetime questions. I got, and this one I'm sorry. I just gotta ask you, brother, like, because it's so interesting. Good Name samples Method Man, but I get it. Pick a drug or a rapper, man. I'm better than Meth. Sorry. Did you know if Meth heard any of this?
No, I don't think he did. Or if he did, he didn't take offense. He was one of the coolest interviews we had. Yeah. I interviewed Meth once too, and he's just like the best guy. But it was good for you. He was the best. Like he was of the people that, how can I put it? He's got a star quality. Yeah. I don't love using that language, but like he's got it. Like he's so charismatic. Yes. And he like you're in his presence and you just kind of like look up to the guy. I don't know how else to put it. Like you just kind of admire the guy. He's so funny, naturally funny and smart and cool, but on point. He was not a minute late. Wonderful. We probably averaged a good hour in terms of lateness, but like he was not a second late. He was not a second late. Wow. So
Oh, that's so good to hear. So, but the last one I'll ask before we get into Kanye is I'm just wondering, do you know if Drake heard Long John, or has Drake heard some of your stuff? And did you ever cross paths with him at all?
The only time I ever crossed, no, there's two times I remember crossing paths with Drake. Once was in LA, and it was after the Grammys in 2009. This was like right before.
Oh, wow. Early.
Wow.
This was early.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was around. He was in the scene. So I was with my DJ Tilo, and Tilo knew him because Tilo also DJs for JD Era, and that was the camp back then. It was like Drake and Era and I'm blanking on the other, Johnny Rocks and some other guys.
Right.
And so Tilo knew Drake better than I did, and so we chatted a bit then. But he was like on his way to like a Grammy party with Wayne. Like he was already in another world, but still had like maybe 3 toes in our world or something.
Yeah.
And then I also ran into him backstage at the Junos the year that I won.
Oh, you did? Oh, you did see him.
I saw him. I was backstage. So when I won, it was the night before. So the way these award shows work, it's like most of the awards are given out the night before, and then there's the televised portion, which he was hosting.
Yeah, and went 0 for 6. It was so disrespectful.
And went 0 for 6.
Yeah,
so
rude. Yeah.
So I had won the day before.
Yeah.
Right.
When I don't know, that was probably the only award he was nominated for that night. So it was like wasn't a big deal at that point.
Yeah.
And then the next day was the big award show, and so I was backstage. I think I was presenting an award, and I remember I was nervous just to present an award, just to basically read like 3 lines off a teleprompter. Like it was just not my world, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he was hosting that night, and he was just so calm and just chilling. We just chopped it up, and then he went onto the stage.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, wow, this guy is. I remember thinking, wow, this guy's really built for this level.
Yeah.
Because it was like nothing for him. It was like somebody being on break at their shift, at the restaurant.
Yes.
And then they're like, okay, I got to get back to work.
Yeah. You're so, yeah. Like,
that was really what it was like. Like, he was really nice. He dapped me up. He was like, oh, yo, congrats and blah, blah. And then it was like, oh, I got to get back on stage. See ya. And so those are the 2 times I remember running into him. And then after that was like, he became the biggest star in the world shortly after that,
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I have a question before we get into like the Kanye, because I feel like this may even connect though. But something I like to discuss is like hip hop dads, like hip hop and fatherhood is just something that is important to me. I'm a father. I have two beautiful girls myself, 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I just remember lyrics from like Nas talking about his daughter Destiny and whatnot. And for us, a lot of us young Black men growing up, like these were like our examples, just hearing that. It's like, like these guys actually want to be present in their kids' lives and whatnot. And I know that you're a father as well. So I'm curious to ask you, like, what has like fatherhood taught you about yourself?
Man, I love that question. It's so hard to, I don't know how you feel, but I find it so hard to put into words what the experience of having kids is, even for us who put things into words all the time. It's so difficult, because on one hand, it's like the weirdest thing in the world to be beside life, that you created. And on the other hand, you know that it's also the most natural thing in the world. And it's like, how could it be both at the same time? One thing I'm learning through it is just it strips back a lot of the things that we care about in the adult world in terms of productivity, status, all that stuff, because your kids truly do not care.
Word.
They don't know, they don't care. All they want is your time and your presence. You know, and it reminds me that that's all I want too. You know, there's times where I've been sitting beside my oldest daughter and we're not talking and we're not doing anything and we're just beside each other, and I'm like, man, I can't do that with too many people. I don't know if I can do that with anyone.
Word.
You know?
Real.
And that's like a profound thing to feel, like that kind of like acceptance from someone, even when it's a 3-year-old. It's like, it's really profound to feel that and to like be put back in touch with. That's kind of all we want, all we need, you know? So I'm learning that. I'm still learning how it fits into my music. That's something I'm still figuring out. But it's a profound experience. That's all I can say, you know? It's a profound experience.
Yo,
appreciate that.
That's so beautiful. I've never said this publicly, but I almost had a child with Eternia. It's what we've been going back for mad years. So yeah, I'm not a father yet, but I've had some parallel experiences, and I live it through y'all. And like, thank you for sharing that so much. But I gotta ask you a question that parallels Nas, because you said, I plan on having smart daughters. Yeah, all Harvard MDs, but you didn't have any daughters at the time, correct? So like, I'm like, when I heard that, I'm like, my brother Shad did exactly what Nas did on The World Is Yours when Nas predicted his son and then his daughter in a song like 20 years before he had kids. And like, do you ever reflect on that? Like, what did you?
Man, no, I think any of us that write rhymes, it's like we have moments like that. I think.
Yeah, indeed.
Know, like, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, because it's like, so what I put it down to is, as we go through life, we're picking up all kinds of information. It's just only some of it registers consciously. The rest registers, but just subconsciously. So when we're doing our thing and we're writing, you know, and we're feeling, it's like there's all this information here that we're putting together. You know what I mean? We're putting it together. And so it's like, is it predicting the future? It's like, no, it's like we actually know the future. Like,
that's real. That's so beautiful, yo. Yeah, like so, a part of you knew. Yeah,
part of you knows. Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, yo, that's no, you said no, yo,
Profit.
That's so beautiful. So like, I'll parallel that, because that, like, she's everything to me. She's been like a lover, a friend, a sister. We had an enemy period, co-sign. Like we went to New York together and rocked the stage with MF Doom and a whole bunch of other MCs. And like, I will take a bullet for Eternia. And like, whenever I hear, actually, when I was listening to your album, and like, when I hear like Shad and Eternia and Kamau on a song, I'm like, I love this, because this is not only a collection of Canada's finest, brilliant, beautiful souls and MCs. I'm so blessed that I'm like, I can say like I have personal experiences with these wonderful souls, and like they've guided my life. And they're great friends, and they're like, they are not MCs who are just like quote unquote conscious in the booth and then come out and then they just be like cussing people off and whatever. Like they're they walk the walk, talk the talk, and they reflect their wisdom, and like their beauty as artists comes out in their just regular life if you know them as regular people. So I just wanted to big up you and Eternia. And I'm saying all that to say, like, Eternia is so beautiful with her faith, and I love your faith, the way, like, listening to it, I'm like, yo, there's a lot more biblical like sacred wisdom in this music that you're perfectly subtle about. This brilliant balance of gently feeding a message, presenting a message, like drinking a glass of water. You're not cramming it down anyone's throat. You're not bashing them over the head. None of that. It's just like Ghost says, you gotta mix it in with the dog food, you know. And I parallel that to our brother Kanye. I love him. And then occasionally he frustrates me incredibly, like artistry and like Kanye. It's just it's so mind-boggling. I'm like, yo, I don't know why you're being kind of cultish about your Christianity right now, and I'm uncomfortable with some of the Sunday school stuff, and like your Drink Champs interview is like wildly hypocritical if you're trying to be but I still love you. You're a genius, and like. I just want you to talk about maybe some thoughts you want to get off about being in hip hop and being a man of faith.
Yeah, man. Well, so here's the best way I'll put it is, wow, there's just so many things to say about that. I'll say this, like,
please say as much as you want, like, honestly.
Yeah. So for me, hip hop, like music, period, it's about going deeper, for one thing, because it's about having fun too, but art is about going deeper to me. That's why we need it. We need it for the things that just can't be fit into ordinary conversation. So I say that to say it's always been natural for me to want to go to a spiritual place with the music, because that's where I can express some of this stuff. That's where it belongs. You know, it belongs in art. Now, the interesting thing is that, like, in kind of mainstream Christianity, it's like the opposite mentality. Like, they love literalism and not art, you know? And I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense to me. To me, there's a reason why Christ spoke in parables, because they were saying that the people in his day were saying, tell us the thing. And he's like, I can only tell you in a story. I can only tell you in a metaphor, and I can only tell you with my life. You keep asking bullet points. There's no bullet point. There's no bullet point for what love is. There's no bullet points for what, you know?
What heaven is.
What heaven is. There's no bullet points for what heaven is. For what God is.
What God is.
So that's how I've always looked at religion, is like this inherently poetic, metaphorical, artistic thing. Because it can't be, it's not bullet points. It's too deep for that. Right? Even so I've always felt like, you know, a lot of my religious education is artistic education. That makes sense.
Yes.
Because, you know what I mean? It's all it is metaphor and ritual and music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. I love to say that, like, the difference between church and a hip hop concert is the only that you can swear at a hip hop concert, and you can't really swear at church. Like, besides that, it's like a message being delivered to an audience. Like, the parallels are so apt, and it's really there. Like, I almost started off this interview with something interesting that Gene Simmons said once when I saw him speak, he goes, the difference between a pastor, a preacher, and a businessman are all like, they're all basically occupying the same thing. They're all trying to like sell you a message to an audience, but they're all just have different degrees and dialogues about how they go about it. And I was like, yo, it's hard to dispute that. Like,
but
yeah,
there's something else to add to that too. And I think a distinction would be like, you know, integrity, like morals and values and things of that nature. Like, yeah, there is, you know, the parts that overlap. So like, you know, just to kind of go back to Shad, like your morals and about like, where does this come from? Because, you know, I mean, you know, we're humans, you know what I mean? And, you know, like there's temptations, there's all kinds of different things, all kinds of, you don't even swear in your raps, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure there might've been like a one time where you're like, yo, I don't know, but like, where does your like morals and values like come from? Is it like, you know, the way how you were raised, your household environment, like,
Yeah, so a lot of it is how I was raised. So definitely my parents passed down, and the religious household, you know what I mean, for lack of a better term. But those, you know, those values passed down, and then I think through that it's always been a genuine curiosity of mine. You know what I mean? This thing of what does it mean to live well, like, and really what does morals mean, and really what does values mean, and really because it's an endless thing. Once you get past the bullet point thing that a lot of religious people have difficulty just getting past that and understanding it's not just bullet points, then you understand, then you see that it is a lifelong pursuit, and it's a lifelong growth, and it's a lifelong journey, you know. As soon as you think you have it, you don't have it, and that's kind of the point. Because it keeps you humble. It keeps you going back to something truer and truer and truer. It's like refining a jewel, you know what I mean? It's like it can get clearer. It can always get clearer and clearer and clearer. And it's like your love can get clearer and clearer. And so I guess to answer your question, it's like, yeah, parents, family, faith. But then at a certain point, it became my own preoccupation, and my own curiosity. And music has just always felt like a natural vehicle for all of that. You know, and stories, some of the concepts of songs and albums have come really out of spiritual, you know, meditation on not just my values and not just God, but how all of that relates to our world as I see it. And
indeed.
Capitalism and racism and all these things, like how does it relate, and how do we confront it, and what does it mean to live well in this world? It's just, music's always felt like the vehicle for that kind of conversation about values.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because like I myself, I was raised in a 7-day Adventist like Christian household, so very similar. Like a lot of like the seeds have been planted in me. So like a lot of the things that I do, you know, and my passion for community and just the way how I live my life is rooted in that. Like I don't go to church or whatever, but there's like those seeds have been like rooted and planted and whatnot. So everything you're saying, I definitely agree and salute you for walking it, because I know it's not easy, you know, but it's making that choice. That's really what it is, you know. And like you said, like as soon as you think you got it, you lose it again. You got to like, you know, go back and reflect and right back to the drawing board, you know. And you worded it beautifully, you know. Like that's exactly what it is. It keeps you humble and, you know, have a heart of like, you know, empathy and compassion and all these things. So salute to you for that, man. But yo, Bender, man, I know you got, yeah, go ahead.
What do you say, Chad?
No, I was just saying, yeah, I appreciate that. And, you know, yeah, anyhow, yeah, I appreciate that.
Cool, man, cool. So Bender, what you got there, yo?
I wanted to play something. I mean, it's one of, okay, before we get into this, I gotta tell you, man, the first time I heard this song was behind the Manifesto building. I've listened to a lot of hip hop songs, and I don't remember a lot of my experiences. Obviously, I've listened, but like I will never forget the first time I heard Progress Part 1 and 2. And like I was behind the Manifesto building, the sun was shining, and I stood there and played it about 9 times in a row, just with tears in my eyes. Like, this is one of the most profound things that I've ever heard expressed or written. It was, I mean, and it is also like when Logik, when you're asking if Shad's never swore before, there's like, you get like you have the best almost swear in this, and like, with maybe 4 of the most profound couplets that have ever been written in hip-hop history. And I do want to talk about hip-hop and death and life in this, but I definitely want to go into this because this is magnificent. I love it so much.
I kept writing like, bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee. Nope. Levee broke. This would be the day that I die. Guess you never know. Dropping acid rain from the sky in a deadly dose. The night the music died, they played something beautiful. Drowned the rain and the refrain from the funeral. Look, Wayne's in the studio. And the Saints win the Super Bowl. It's a different crowd this time around in that Superdome. Storm's brewing. I can feel something's not right. Writing old print. There's something about pop life. Everybody needs a thrill. Some entertainment, some Richard Pryor, Russia Raymond, no blaming. All the products of the products, made of pop cans and pop tarts, and all stars, dog parts and stock cars, Walmarts and shop parts and ballparks with playoffs, and day jobs with layoffs, two famous stars. The night the music died, nobody investigated it. Just another one of us slain on the Vegas Strip. They closed the casket and the case up quick. Guess they figured it was gang related and never gave a shh.
Oh man. Wow. That's the first time I heard that, man. And woo.
No, like is like I can't like there's still like tears come to me 3 out of the 5 times I listen to it. Like, those bars encapsulate hip hop culture almost better than almost any. Like, they figured it was gang related and never gave a shh. Like, and there's a video on YouTube that came out this year that says a list of the 250 rappers who were murdered in 2020. 250. And like I mean, I wanted to thank you for writing that. Like, I love so much of your music, but that song says so much. And like, I don't know if like you're the same, like, yeah, man. Like, I mean, even doing hip hop evolution and stuff, like, how do you feel when you see rappers get murdered? How do you when you see I don't know, how do you deal with the frustration of violence in hip hop?
You know, I think what came up for me when I was listening to that again is just, I think part of what I was getting at is like how, as a culture, like broadly outside of hip hop, just in general as a society, how we never get it. Like, it's up there on a platform for us over and over and over again, and we just don't do anything about it. Like, and there's the violent deaths, and then there's the deaths, you know, like a Prince or a Whitney or Michael Jackson, like over and over and over again. We do this thing of putting people on a stage, on a platform, and then we watch them die. And we feel surprised somehow when it's like we just never learn or something, or we don't care to learn, or, you know, it's like the conditions, they never change.
Yeah.
They never change in our communities. They never change. And the conditions of stardom and never change. It's always dead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had a question when, like, maybe this is a good time to talk about it. Like your song with Toolman and like Tanya Tagak, and like I wanted
shout
to
out Toolman, yo.
yeah,
The brother.
Toolman, shout out to Toolman, big up. But like how I feel is so powerful. Like I was just wanted to be like, I don't know, it's like an open-ended, impossible question, but like, how do you feel about colonialism and slavery? Like, do you feel like there's ideas that you have in your head that haven't been implemented in the government, or it's just like too big for any?
Well, you know, it's like back to, oh, there's so much to say about that. I'll say one thing, first of all. So when we were filming Hip Hop Evolution, I remember we went to Houston and we were trying to talk to as many of DJ Screw's people as possible. And there was a crew of maybe 50 of them at the time. About 7 are alive now.
Whoa.
And I think one of them was killed, but the rest all died from quote unquote natural causes.
Wow.
Right? I remember coming back from that trip just being like, this is just untenable. Like, this is untenable. It's not a thing that can continue. You know, dead at 45, dead at 50, food, you know, healthcare system, whatever, drugs, lack of opportunities. It's like, no, this is not tenable. So to your question of, you know, colonialism, slavery, it's like, look at the conditions. To me, it's like, look at the conditions now people live in. And the disparity. There was another time we were filming, and it's no different in Canada, of course. We just the communities are more hidden, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But when you're in America, it's just so.
Yeah.
We just we were staying in this one Airbnb in New York, near Prospect Park, and like one side of the street was literally 6-bedroom mansions and probably 90% white, and then around the corner, again, like 3 steps away, you're in East Flatbush, and it's 2-bedroom apartments, 1-bedroom apartment, 90% black. Like around the corner. Like, I don't know what the word for that is.
Yeah.
Apartheid? I don't know what the word is.
Word.
Up.
And so I think about conditions like that, and then Canada's, it's no different, just the communities are hidden. It's not a tenable situation. It's not something that can continue. There's this economist, I love this story. There's this economist that like studied this, I forget what he was studying, something, PhD in economics, studying this thing for a long time. And his conclusion was trends that can't continue won't.
Wow.
And they call it Stein's law. And it applies to that whatever little thing he was talking about, but it applies to everything. Trends that can't continue won't. And to me, it's like this ongoing legacy, you know, the degree of disparity between our communities, indigenous community, and wealthy Western worlds, it can't continue.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Yeah. America. Yeah.
One way or another, it can't stand. And I really think 2022, like this is part of the tension we all feel right now, is in so many ways, there's trends that can't continue and they're starting to crumble and they're starting to collapse. They're starting to be revealed. Somebody was telling me this week, the word apocalypse actually means revealing. Veiling. So yeah, these are apocalyptic times because this stuff is being revealed.
Yeah.
It's becoming broadly known and understood. More broadly known and understood.
Yeah.
That
absolutely.
The wealth in these so-called wealthy countries was built on evil.
Yeah. Evil,
unveiled.
Agreed.
And the legacy we see now in terms of racist disparities in life outcomes for people, it's being revealed for what it is.
Indeed.
And it's the apocalypse in the right sense, in the good sense. In the good sense, because this stuff can't continue. So it needs to be unveiled and ended.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and it's been the last thing I'll say on it is one of the highlights of my career has been seeing the come up of hallucination, Tanya, etc., like sparking an awareness and energy in our country's music scene and beyond.
Indeed. Yo,
That's been one of the highlights of my career. I feel like has been having a front row seat to that.
Well, I want to just before my man gets into his question, not only you having a front row seat to it, but also like participating, man, because I saw this music video the other day, and it was by Toby, you know, the 24 remix featuring yourself, Hawaii Mighty, Jazz Cartier. Like these are like the new artists who are doing their thing. And so, like, you know, you've been around for a minute, and just to see you connect with the younger generation, and again on this, like, you know, this social commentary, the video is dope. Like, I love everything about it. Incredible. Your verse is fire. Yeah, man. So I just wanted to just add on to that, and anything you want to say about that video in particular.
Yo, yeah, on that same tip, you know, to see the Tobys come up and Aya, who's a monster, you know, and Jazz, like Toby did something special in that together, you know, and everybody came in and with the right spirit, of wanting to bless that track, you know, everybody did their thing, everybody came different. That was a special moment. You know, I feel really grateful to have been included in that. Yeah, they're all, you know, they're all well established at this point, but that feels good, you know. That feels good. That's still in the culture of hip hop in this country. You know what I mean? Like there is a world of very socially conscious hip hop that's happening in this country, and it's getting a platform.
Absolutely. Yes. Go ahead, Bender.
All right. So, well, I mean, it parallels actually to this. But I'm going to ask you about something that I've been waiting for 5 years to ask, brother. I mean, first, I have to say the establishment verse, "We don't make war," we like is exactly this. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh my God, this needs to be played everywhere. That I mean, I want to talk about underrated and underappreciated projects, because I felt like in the span of your impact, like I felt like A Short Story About a War, it was a brilliant concept album. I felt like it didn't connect to the people as much as it should have. I mean, I don't know what it was. The production was a little different, but like the concepts and the artistry was great and brilliant. I thought it should have hit, but like I just like brilliance and wisdom and originality. So I'm like, oh, that's all there in every one of Shad's projects. Why don't they all sell? But like, how do you feel about not only that album, but your boy Tony Braxton? Because I feel like nobody understood that album, and I love it, and I will love it for life. And it made me cry, and I really see some of your ideas not get heard the way I feel like they should be heard. Like, do you feel that way with those projects?
Man, I feel it. So, yes, I guess my like natural mode is to go like, yeah, okay, like they didn't get it, or they didn't understand it, or they didn't like it, and like that's cool. Like, guess that is what it is. I'll talk about both of them. So, A Short Story About a War, I do think it's the best thing I've done. Like, to me, it's I've done, because it has the best it has my best ideas in it.
Okay.
As a person, as an artist, it has my best ideas in it, you know?
Cool.
Like there's a song on there called Water.
Whew.
There's a song there called Magic. The first song Sniper, and then later there's something called the Sniper Interlude. Like to me, these are my best ideas. They're the closest things to my heart that I've ever been able to, you know, put out on
Cool.
something. So in that way, I think it's the best thing that I've done.
Awesome.
That being said, like I think there's a few reasons why, you know, people might not have gravitated towards it. One, like it is layered. It's layered as a project, you know. Two, it doesn't have some of the like charm in the sense of like humor and playfulness that some of my other stuff has that makes it more accessible.
Yeah.
And three, I just think we've also arrived at a moment where music means something a little bit different in the culture than it did before. And by that I mean people aren't spending necessarily as much time with music to unpack it and understand it.
Yeah.
So I'll say that for that. And your boy Tony Braxton, to me, I'm super proud of that. I always will be, because
you should be.
For a couple reasons. One, how much I had to stretch myself to do that, just as an artist. And two, because it was really what I felt at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to challenge myself and do something different. And I did. And I think that that's the artist's job, period, full stop. You got to just follow that calling. And so I felt like I did my job. And then lastly, when I think about the songs too, it's like there was something I was trying to understand and figure out about masculinity.
Okay.
That's in that album. And so, you know, it's pure in a lot of ways. And so I'm proud of both of those, but at the same time I'm also like very understanding of people not understanding them.
Yeah. So when you say like
although, you know,
masculinity,
although Short Story About a War, I feel like it was well received enough. Like I got to do my thing with it. I was pleased with how it was received, but yeah, I feel you. To me, it's the best thing I've done.
That's so. I mean, really quickly, I gotta say, like, Adult Contempt it's such a brilliant title. I'm like this. I mean, it's so like it captures so much of like the dating culture and like the male female, the gender breakdown that we're all struggling through right now. I'm like, this is such a brilliant title, and I thought like you nailed the like word as a fan of somebody who thought Electric Circus by Common was one of the greatest albums, and it was just 2 years too early. I'm like, if it came out 2 years after, it would have blown the hell up. And I always I was like, yo man, like how are people not, I don't know where the pocket of people that are not hearing the brilliant tribute to 80s R&B, just like that this Milli Vanilli Scritty, like yo, like, Terrence Trent D'Arby vibe, yo, like it's brilliant, and it was, you nailed it perfectly, and I just it frustrated me that people couldn't see the value of it. And sometimes I thought, what is it? Is it just because it's called your boy Tony Braxton? Like, is it just the name? I'm just kidding. Like, what's the one thing that could have changed? I'm like, I thought the first single was great. Good enough is awesome. Like, what? Like, should it have been like you know, like another single or whatever? But like, I thank you so much for it, and I really gotta let you thank you for exemplifying true artistry by taking those risks, and like just gotta let you know, like I'm one of those fans out there that's being like, it was really worth it. I don't know if it like you might not have made back the money, but like we cherish it.
No, I appreciate that, and you know, like I said at the very beginning, my mentors take the risks. Kanye
Yeah.
It's part of why we love him. You know, Lauryn Hill. It's like I am a child of that. Like I really believe that's the artist's job, is to take those risks because life requires those risks, and artists have to model that. I think that's what it comes down to. If we don't model, then what hope is there, right? Well, not what hope is there, but we're not doing our job to encourage people to take risks in their life, take risks in the risks that are required in our society to build something better. You know?
Thank you so much, yo. Like, yo, I mean, Logik, did you want to say something on that? Did you have a question? I didn't want to.
Yeah, no, go ahead, bro. Go ahead, bro. You know, I know you got. I know we're just mindful of time and whatnot, but yeah, go ahead, bro. I know you got some more.
Yeah, there's not much more left, but I also want to. I'm trying to like gush as a fan, but also have some kind of arc to this, where I don't want to talk about the new album. Like it's brilliant, like Dow, and like you have some of the like I'm a wordsmith, and I'm like, I feel like I'm aware of the best vocalists in hip hop, or some of them, and I'm like, I'm like, all y'all Americans, y'all need to be checking SHAD, because all of y'all need have to do work, because this man has some of the greatest couplets and punchlines ever written in cultural history. I just want to mention one or two and just be like, how it connects to when you said, attitude is numb. Plus, we love to escape. We love entertainment, especially if it's public disgrace. Like, yeah, and it's I wanted to talk about you have such a wonderful positive image, but have you ever been attacked by the media? Like, was it what was it, the CBC thing? Maybe was that your most difficult time dealing with the media and people being like, and just this whole modern era where it's like, people don't pay attention to anything unless it's negativity. Like,
that's it. Yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of my own career, that was definitely my hardest time with media.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, I was not liked.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is the culture, right? This is what we have knowingly or unknowingly created through social media, is this sort of like, wow, the decimation of real journalism and fact and fiction, and you know what I mean? Like, but also this kind of like addiction to negativity. And because it's the easier emotion to create. Right? I even see it when I look at the shift that happened in TV, when we suddenly got all these anti-heroes.
Yeah.
And that in scripted TV, and then reality TV became all of these people that you kind of hate, You watched whatever, the Kardashians, Paris Hilton, and it's part of it is to hate them, And I was like, wow, that's a cultural shift, because before this, stories needed heroes, but it's harder to write that. It's harder to create that. It's easier to touch on the most base feelings inside of people, And so that's what I was getting at. With that lyric. But that was for me, that was a chapter that in my own life, like talking about that, my own media experience, that was a chapter in my life that it feels strange to say this, but like, it's kind of like what we're talking about with your boy Tony Braxton, and it's like, I felt like my job was to do the work, and the reaction to it was, I don't know, it sounds strange to say, but I look back fondly on that time because it was an exercise in that courage to do the work and not be distracted.
Word.
Right? I know I'm doing it. But at the same time, I can observe what's happening and I can see the negativity and I can see the lies. But this is the journey.
Yeah.
This is the journey.
It feels like they fired you because you weren't negative enough in my eyes. And I will always see it like that. I'm like, Shad is just like a positive thinker and he's not going to feed into the whole Gameshi bullshit of just being like this like just contrarian journalist and always like be like on some hot cold business and like you're not getting into any of that culture and be like, yo, well, we don't want him. He's not like a Howard Stern. He's not like he's not gonna like press people. He's gonna like ask them about their heart and like so I mean that's how I saw it. And I'm just gotta I don't know how your experience was, but like it disappointed me because you were wonderful at your job. And
well, you know, honestly, I look back at that time. I really enjoyed the work, which is, you know, the most important thing. And I believed in the work. You know, I believed in what I saw that show as, and the potential of it is it's like it's serving the country. There's a cultural conversation that is increasingly like, you know, challenging to follow, but there's a lot of wise voices out there making music, making film, making art, and these people can help us understand what's going on within ourselves and within our society. And that is a site for that conversation for the whole country. And so I believed in the work and I enjoyed the work, and, you know, you do it, you do the work for the people every day, and then you move on. And so I'm glad for the exercise. It sounds weird to say, but I'm glad for the exercise of that because, you know, I'd never encountered that before. And to be honest, on some level, I signed up for that. You know, like I knew what it was. I knew what it was. This is taking over after Jian Gameshi. Like this is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
And I think I wanted to do something that was not the easy thing. And that's it.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful way of looking at it. And of course, you know, like wise, you know, wisdom, man, that just comes from you. You know, like this show, like we theme it around like, you know, the African word Sankofa, you know, which is like means like, you know, it's not taboo to go back and collect what you may have forgotten, you know. You know, so you have ties to the continent, you know, born in Kenya, connections to Rwanda as well. Have you been back, you know, like recently?
Yeah, so my parents retired and they moved back like 10, 15 years ago, something like that. So I go back every couple years to Rwanda. That's like where my family's really from. And so, yeah, I feel really fortunate to have been able to stay connected to that country and get to observe and, you know, just be there every year or two. I'm actually trying to learn the language finally.
Peace. I love that.
That's my 2022 thing, like trying to really learn it. So yeah, I feel real fortunate for that because when we came to Canada, my parents never thought they'd go back. Like it was like, okay, that's it. But then the opportunity opened up for them. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. And I feel like it would be kind of, you know, it's grounding, you know, because sometimes like this North American wilderness is, you know what it is, man, to really go back to the roots and just plug in, you know. I can only imagine like what that does for you, man. Maybe you want to speak a bit to that.
Yeah. Back to that common line. This Western way of life ain't native to me.
Swish.
You know? So yeah, I'm trying to think of what I've sort of like picked up in the last little while, just like from being there or reflecting on things there. So I'll say this about Rwandan culture. So my dad can trace his lineage back, I don't know, countless generations. And
Oh.
what's amazing about that, to our minds being educated here, is Rwanda didn't have written language for like ever. People just know who they are.
Wow.
They just know where they're from. So lately it's made me think about what it means when we say educated or cultured. Because there it means you know who you are.
Wow.
Here it almost means the opposite. Here to be educated or cultured means you have this broad knowledge of everything out there. You're so cultured. You're so, there. And, right.
Man.
And we see the consequences of that. There, it's like, even without written language, everybody knew who they are. They know the customs, right? So you know how to greet an elder. You know how to greet someone younger than you. You know how to host. You know how to be a guest. You know how to celebrate. You know how to mourn. You know the stories. You know the songs. You know the dance. You know who you are. So you're grounded.
Yes.
You are cultured.
You are, yo, bless, yo.
I've been reflecting on that, because I'm here and I see the problems that we have here as, again, talking broadly, our society, Black people, white people, like everybody. This society is sick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's increasingly obvious to everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not individuals are sick. It's the society is sick. And as a result, individuals are sick. And I'm increasingly thinking maybe part of this sickness is that we have the wrong idea about what educated means and what cultured means.
That's it right there.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Like this, like real culture. Very quickly, when I went to Ghana, there was no cameras. There was no like high tech society. But I was walking around. I'm like, no, everybody is seeing everybody. I was like, all these kids. There's a bunch of kids running around, and I'm like, wow. What if a kid gets kidnapped? And I'm like, if a kid gets kidnapped here, 15 people are going to see it and immediately talk about it. But I'm like, in Toronto, if you kidnap somebody off the street, nobody will say anything. People will not see it. It could happen right in front of their eyes. You could kidnap a homeless, and I'm like, this is so backwards and inverted. Like I'm so with you. And like, yeah, culture, society, knowledge of self, just even that simple concept, knowledge of self. People are like, what is that? Why do we need that? It's not really valued here in North America. And I'm like, do you know how problematic your life could be if you don't understand what the concept of knowledge of self is? Like,
yo, let me say a couple. Okay, I'm getting another experience. I got to talk about this.
Okay.
So, another time we went to see one of my dad's grandmas. So like a whole bunch of our cousins, we rented this school bus and we went to see one of my dad's grandmas, I guess, in the village, way out in the village. She was 102. Way out in the village. I don't think she's maybe ever seen a doctor.
Whoa!
Speak on it, yo. Speak on it.
So I was asking my mom afterwards, like, tell me about this woman, you know, and how she can live so long. And my mom broke it down. She's like, because, you know, so she's out in the village. She lives in, you know, grass thatch structure, you know what I mean? And my mom's like, yeah. So, you know, that grass thatch structure she lives in, no mortgage.
Yo, no, yo, no, oh,
Free up.
No bills getting dropped off all the time.
No doubt.
You know that food that she eats, she's never eaten fake food in her life.
No junk food.
No, not a single thing has she eaten in her life that hasn't been really from the soil, right?
Wow.
And then the daily activities that are involved with that. Of course, she's never been to a gym. You know, it's just the daily activities that are involved with picking up the grandkids, sweeping the floor, doing the garden. You know, that's the physical activity that you need. And then, of course, there's people around, community around, good weather. Like, you know, it's just health. So
healthy.
Health. So again, like our definitions of educated, cultured, our definition of what healthy is.
Yes. Oh my God. You
know.
Wow.
And the last thing I'll say is this. This happened in high school, actually, probably before I ever got to go back to Rwanda. But my mom said, in our language, there's no term for like low self-esteem. Like self-esteem is not a concept because it's a communal culture. You would never think of yourself as like inherently less valuable.
Inferior. Yeah. Oh, my brain. Wow. You just removed that idea from the collective soul. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even somebody who's crippled or whatever is like, I have value and purpose, and right. I have reason, and I have a place, and we'll all find it together. Wow.
She said there's no word for low self-esteem. That concept doesn't exist. And I can't, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure she said there's also no word for stress in the way that we talk about stress. There's stress like I don't know if I'm gonna survive, like imminent physical threat stress.
Right.
Whoa.
But the way we talk about stress, like we're always stressed kind of thing, like big worry, it's always there. It's also not a thing.
Wow.
Yo. So on that, I wasn't sure if I'd get to that, but I like on your album, it was such a really special moment to have was that your grandmother speaking?
That's my mom.
Your mom, okay. And I was listening, and I was like, Afite, when you were like that she said Afite and Umuntu on God, and I was like, the joy and the wisdom and the universality, the Africanness of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't like, and I love you gave a shout out to Pops, Common Pops, but I'm like, yo, like you had your mom and had your mom speaking on your record. And it didn't feel like, I love Common, like having Common have his dad on the end of every record was amazing, but I'm like, it felt very like Chicago, which was cool, but like your skit was so African and then like so universal, and it was so like the wisdom, you captured her so well, and I really wanted to thank you for that because it was such a special drop. And I just want to add, because we'll talk about these new songs. Like I thought Out of Touch was like a Stakes is High 2022. Like it really, that Out of Touch really was like, yo, why are we so, things are so off with people? And I really, when I was listening to everything, I'm like, Shad is not judging anybody. Shad is a master of observation. And I really have to thank you for I'm like, I know you don't drink and smoke and don't do drugs, but I'm like, you actually have the vulnerability and sacrifice to rhyme like, yeah, we're still struggling with our alcohol. We are still, my sis, she's getting off the Newports. It's like you embody that in yourself, like you are one of us, because you are one of us, but you never distance yourself from the people that you're talking about, even though you're not drinking and smoking, but you recognize the struggles of the people. And I just have to thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
So I love when rappers talk about it and stuff, but so many people are like, I'm better than you because I don't, like, you know, like whatever. And it's just like,
and it's so beautiful because that really, you know, like connects to like what he's talking about, like the African experience, you know, like we're all one in the same. Like if you struggle, we struggling, you know. So it just speaks to that like really beautifully, man. So yeah, I agree, man. Thank you for that.
It's so
but you know, but it is true, right? Like we all feel it out here. Like it's tense and it's difficult, and the roots of it are really deep. And so, you know, that's why I was really glad to get my mom on there, because she can touch on it in a way that I can't. Because she went back to the language on that track, and she said the word human in Kinyarwanda, it like the connotation is that it's like it's how you act, and if you aren't part of if you aren't behaving in a communal way, you're not human. That's like what it means to be a human. If you're not sharing, if you're not taking care of the weaker ones, like, then you're not a human. That is human. You know what I mean? And you know, on Out of Touch too, like the second verse, like I'm getting into the food. Like, how do we reattach the roots? I don't mean no metaphor. I'm talking about these packaged foods, mass produced.
So
who's the most impacted group?
Yo, that was
black and blue. Like,
it was chef's kiss perfection. Like I didn't want this whole interview to be me quoting you a whole bunch of times. I cut back a couple, but like I have so many of your lines where I'm like, yo, everybody, we need to just broadcast this on the sky and have everybody meditate on this, because this encapsulates the entire issue. This is really it right here. And like what we face is bona fide global wide changes. Old ways is gone. Cool, but what are they replaced with?
Yes.
It's not like like I had one question. I don't know, like we're getting to that. Like I was gonna ask, like I thought that maybe around 1995 was maybe the pinnacle of Western civilization, and we've been on a downhill slide since then. And I don't, I'm like, I almost didn't want to ask you, because I'm like, yo, this man just had kids. He doesn't want to, like, the world is getting worse. But like, no, like I know we have to be optimistic, and I want to see a beautiful future, even though like the oceans are on fire. But like, I was like, when I still feel like 1995 was like, or like right in the mid 90s might have been the pinnacle of Western civilization. This whole idea, there was still hope in the future. The internet wasn't here yet. Society wasn't so self-hatred, and like it was like a hypothetical thing. I don't know if you have a thought. Like
I don't think you're wrong. Like I don't have the historical perspective to say, but I do think. So I remember when The Matrix came out, for example, right? Yeah. And the view of the internet at that time was like, it's gonna be accompanied by, it's gonna be radical, right? Like if you look at even the aesthetics of The Matrix, it's like it's gonna be radical. It's gonna be anti-corporation, anti-mind control. Like this was the whole vision.
Yes.
And
information super
fast forward 15, 20 years, and it's the exact opposite. Like all the biggest internet companies are simply the biggest companies in the world. with power that we didn't even imagine.
Mm.
Like there were so many laws that were put in place to keep governments from abusing their power, but we never even imagined that there would be these companies with so much more power than the government.
Right.
That need to be reined in, you know.
Straight goods, yo.
We didn't prepare for that. We didn't. So to your point, you might be right. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I that's the other thing. Like, you have given me a lifetime of lessons in your stuff. I will continue to, like, I really want to work on myself and know that I have to give more and stuff. I didn't want to be too depressed, but it's like a silly idea that I've carried for a while. I'm like, yo, man, when Jurassic Park came out, and like early Wu-Tang, you know, like it was good then, and we didn't know how perfect it was then, and like now we're just chasing like a forever sad and like forever shattering and decaying, splintering idea. Like the idea of perfection is harder and harder to find, but we can't give up. That, like, we're here on the show trying to educate. None of us can give up. For the, like, Wu-Tang is for the babies as usual, but like. I do want to talk about, like, I have this little fun thing I want to do with you. It's real simple. Yeah. But before we go there, I do want to talk about Black averageness. I do want to.
Yeah, that's a big tune, man. That's big.
We're gonna big up your new
mad jokes, yo.
Let's talk like Black averageness and like it's.
I love the intro to that song, by the way. You know what I mean? I was like dying, yo. He's like, you know, like some like motivational. It's like this ain't it. You know? No.
I mean, were you just listening to like Watch the Throne and like I love Murder to Excellence? Where you're like, yo, the answer to this is like the inverse opposite, like or did you see something?
Kind of like it was kind of. I never thought about it that way, but it is sort of an answer record to I don't know what record exactly, but you know, just yeah, like Black excellence, amazing. Let's celebrate our achievements and all that, but let's not forget that real freedom is when we can be whatever we have to be.
That's
right?
real.
If it's still us striving to prove our worth, then that's not freedom.
Yo, I no, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it, you know, and so like that's the point, you know what I mean? And it's obviously like a fun concept, but I love how even the humor in it points to how we're not seen this way.
Right.
Like the fact that it's funny, like we didn't plan on shooting a video, just kind of like happened while we were doing this like photo shoot. But the one thing I told the director, I don't have much of a visual kind of imagination, but I said I want to be gardening at some point.
Nice. You point to the bag. I'm like, yo, it's so simple. Yeah.
I said, no, I want to be gardening at some point, and you know, because even that, it's like it's funny, but the fact that it's funny points to like this is we can't do this yet. You know what I mean? Like
word.
We're not viewed like, you know what I'm saying? Like
no, 100. And just what you're saying about the whole like freedom aspect, like I didn't look at it or interpret it that way until you mentioned that, because it's true. Like, you know, you're like laying on the couch, you're like bouncing a ball on the wall or whatever, and like, but just having the freedom just to do that, you know what I mean? Like no expectation. It's like you're doing it because you can, you know, like and that is Black excellence at the same time, you know?
Yeah. It is. And you know what? Like I always have to give credit again to my parents with this stuff, because I remember a conversation I had as a very young kid. Maybe I was 8 or 9 or something, and talking to my mom. And again, my parents, think maybe just coming from the continent or whatever, they just had a totally different. They didn't really know about racism that much, so they didn't really get it.
Right.
The best way, the best way, they didn't.
Like,
they saw white people as really average, and they saw everybody is really average, and so they're just like whatever, and so I remember having this conversation with my mom once, and I was aware of racism, and I was like, Mom, I'm killing it in school, and I'm gonna prove all these people wrong about Black people. And I remember her like really being like, no. You're gonna be a good person. You're gonna work hard. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve, but you have no responsibility to like prove nothing to who?
Wow.
They're regular. They're
Powerful.
regular. You're pretty regular too. But to her, but what she said is that means you can do anything.
Right.
She's like, that means you can do anything. It's like maybe you can't, go to the NBA or whatever, but like practically speaking, you can do anything.
Wow.
And that, I've carried that with me. But I do remember how adamant she was that like, no. And I think what she was getting at, that thing of freedom, like that's freedom. That's what I want for you. I don't want you to walk through life with this burden that white people don't have.
Right. Facts. Super facts.
Right?
So real. Wow.
I grew up in London, Ontario. It's just all kinds of like ordinary white people being perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And she's like, you could do that. They're regular, man. They're like super regular, and they live peaceful, dignified existences.
Word.
And you don't have to triple their effort and blah, 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 blah.
It's powerful, yo. Word.
No, you can, if that's you, that's you. But if it's not, no. So, that's some of my favorite lyrics on the album. I say, you have every right to, what do I say? I can't remember now.
When you said, it took me a while when you said, "Bish, you basic." Well, it is what it is. I'm like, Fred, I'm like, swish or I miss. It's so like
that's
no.
It. No,
Yes.
But that's the crux of what I'm saying. I'm like swish or I miss.
Right.
We have a right to. We have a right to do like everybody else, like a normal person.
And this kind of goes back to like what you're mentioning about back home in Africa and whatnot, of just like knowing yourself. That's why it's easy to do all those things and to be like content and solid. It's like if they don't care about it, they don't care. Like I like it, so I'm gonna do it. So
that's it. Especially if if we're grounded in community and love, then it's like, you can go out and take risks and try things and fail. It's like your worth doesn't depend on you batting 1,000.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
man.
Yo, okay.
Coming towards the end here, man. We got like 2 hours on this day.
I gotta. It's gonna be real simple. I saved this fun shit for the end.
Right.
Yo, so okay. I talked about that album. I wanted to do something that they did on Drink Champs, but right before I get there, somebody said right before, like I had heard that you speak English and French, and then somebody said, yo, Shad, I think Eternia said, was it Eternia? But somebody's like, Shad's a polyglot. I'm like, yo, word, he speaks more. And then you're saying that, no?
No.
How many, I was like, how many?
English, French, and I'm learning Kinyarwanda. That's it.
Okay, cool. clarifying that out. And just like to like, we'll get to the reference in a moment, but just to honor your scholastic education,
Yes.
like I just wanted to know, like not too many hip hop cats, like, you know, like the opposite of Eminem. Shout out to Eminem, but like you went to school and graduated and you have 2 degrees, and I just wonder, like, is there a vision for a place where you want to apply that knowledge in society? Like, do you have an ambition, unspoken or spoken?
No, I got nothing. We'll see. You know, we'll see. I
love that response.
I got no big plans. I feel like my education, the way I look at it, I don't remember many specifics, but both degrees trained me in a way of thinking, each in a different way. You know, business trains you to think in terms of like, look at a situation, try to get to the bottom of it, what needs fixing, and what's the best way to fix it, implement it. You know, it's a real practical way of thinking about problems. And then my other degree, I felt like trained me to think deeply about stuff and spend time with ideas. I have a high tolerance for that now. I can talk for 2 hours with you guys and not feel tired at all. I'm energized, you know?
I love it.
So that's what I've gotten from it. But all my professional, you know, experience at this point, it's in and around music. That's it.
Hey,
that's really what I know at this point.
Yo, well, please don't change. Please don't change. Hip hop needs you, brother. All right. We've never done this, and like we just really want to expand my media impact, and I don't know if I don't believe in a binary system, but I'd love to do like either or with you, just for a little bit, just to be silly. I love the song He Say She Say, and I've cried off that song. Hip hop needs more relationship songs, and I love, it was brilliant the way you did the metaphor. But I gotta ask, are you into Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Okay, word up. Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan.
Okay. Iverson or Bryant?
R.I.P. Kobe, but I was Iverson guy through and through.
Word. Exactly. Okay. Ewing or Hakeem?
Oh. So in the early pandemic, I was missing basketball so much. I was watching old games on YouTube, and I forgot how great Hakeem was.
Okay.
Defensively, like I remembered the offensive Hakeem, Dream Shake and all that, but I forgot he's maybe the best defender ever. He's crazy.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Hakeem. All right. Bird or Stockton?
I love Stockton.
Yeah, word. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
I love Stockton. Stockton has 6 kids.
What?
Jeez.
He's like low key. He's low key one of my. So apparently he never had an agent. Whenever his contract was up, he'd just go right to the owner's office, and he'd be like, "You want me back?" Right. Handshake deal. One year they were like, "Listen, we want you back, but we can't really afford you. Like, if we want to challenge for a championship, we need some money to get some free agent." He's like, "That's cool. I want ice time in the arena for my son's hockey team."
Word.
Jeez.
I love it.
And the last Stockton story I'll tell you is this. Since retiring, he's only had one coaching job. They always ask him to coach in the NBA and stuff. So one coaching job. He was an assistant coach on his daughter's college team.
Yeah. Yes, like a boss. Yes.
Word.
You know what I mean? Like literally, this
Girl.
guy is all-time leader in assists and steals, and he's like the third assistant. Just because he wants to spend some time with his kids.
Yes,
Well,
girl dad. Yo, that's
he's a hero. He's a hero of mine.
Yeah,
for that.
Yeah. All right, yo, that's Magic Johnson or Isaiah Thomas.
Woo! That's tough, but I got to go with Magic.
Yo, I love you, bro. I love you, bro. Magic was my first hero in life.
Like, yo, Isaiah is kind of the blueprint for. He's kind of the blueprint for like Kyrie Irving, basically.
Word.
That kind of guard that can really handle it. But I have a theory about Magic Johnson, which is that he brought an excitement and a joy to basketball that is unmatched in the history of basketball. And, so when he retired in '92, Bird retired. Barkley was contemplating retiring. And Jordan retired like a year later. He ended up coming back. And Isaiah. And my theory is that when Magic left and under the circumstances he left, it like took the joy out of the NBA. And those guys, all of them were like, it doesn't feel the same.
I love that theory, brother. I love it.
He's special.
Magic was the very first superstar I have, like my first childhood idol that I put on a wall, Magic Johnson. And like, I was working at McDonald's in 1991 when my brother called. He's like, "Yo, did you hear Magic just declared he got HIV?" Like, I will never forget the moment that. I feel you. Yo,
that was wild.
Wow, man.
I have two left. For good reason. Shaq or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I gotta go with Kareem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kareem. Man, he's amazing.
Yeah. All right. And I thank you so much for your time. I really wanted to touch on as much of your career as I can, but you have a special experience with this, and I was gonna say Vancouver or Toronto.
And we're listening, man. We're listening.
They're the opposite cities, but I gotta go with Toronto. Like this is the part of the world that where I'm at. It's close to where I grew up, and it's been where I'm at for a long time. And it's an incredible city, really, in the whole world. It really is.
Word.
Now, that being said, if you've ever spent time in Vancouver, it's straight out of National Geographic. It's like, it's so beautiful. It is absurd.
Yeah, I did want to. The reason that I brought that up is because I'm so thankful that you did join our community here, because like I knew when you were out there, and I'm like, yo, that's amazing. He's studying. That's brilliant. But like, we really like Toronto was going through a special renaissance when you joined, and to have you here, you've just added so much to the community, and it's just been so great to be out. And I just wanted to be like, yo, like you have the experience of both cities, and I just wanted to talk about like, I honestly, I'm pretty much, I've asked virtually all the questions, and I cannot thank you enough. I just kind of wanted to end off like hip hop and your connection to it. And do you ever feel disconnected to it in like, because of all the drinking and smoking and drugs and whatever? And like, are there certain artists that you don't listen to because you're like, yo, they're a dope MC, but like, yo, there's just too much gun talk or too much crack talk or something like that to you? Like, what how do you filter that with yourself?
Well, I think that's always been the case, just in the sense of like, stuff I like and stuff I don't like. But I've always felt at home in hip hop. Really, I always have, because I think I've just always gravitated towards music, towards performance, towards, that's where I feel at home. That's it. That's like, and that's one of the things that's probably what I miss most in terms of music with the pandemic, is it isn't even performing. It's just being around music.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
The people,
conversations like this. You know?
Yeah.
It's like you just can't do this. Like, this isn't what everybody wants to talk about out on the street.
Right.
If I went on my street, this just isn't really what all my neighbors want to talk about.
Word.
You know? So this is my tribe. This is my people. This is so I've always felt at home. I've always felt at home in that sense. But of course, I've also, to your question, like, I've always felt different. But I've never felt that in a bad way. I've always felt that in a, like, yeah, of course, of course I hope I feel different a little bit, because that means I have something different to offer. That means I have something different to say. That means I have a different perspective. But that being said, like, yeah, I've still always felt at home and welcome, and like I can participate and I can appreciate, but of course not everything.
Right.
I think that's true of music in general, but definitely in hip hop, it's like the longer you're around the music, the more you know it, and the more you don't like stuff too. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love to say, like, you're not a real hip hop head until you hate the culture for a moment, or like your dreams have died, and it, like, yo, you gotta like you gotta hate hip hop. Like, no, now I'm down. Like, somebody like, did this really happen? Oh, they died. What, those circumstances? Okay, now you're hip hop. You've shed a tear that you've never thought you'd shed. Like, your heart's been broken in a way that makes your brain spin. Like, how is this even conceivable? Now you're like, welcome to a hip hop pedigree stripe. Like, join the club.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to have your heart broken like a few times, but so yeah, there's a lot that I find it hard to listen to or don't like to listen to. There's artists that I love that I'm like, I wish you'd push it a little bit further or whatever, but that just comes with being a fan and being around it for so long.
Yo, oh man, like I can't thank you enough for this. Like,
powerful, yo.
I pretty much got, yo, the last, the last thing I gotta want, because what, like, your couplets, I'm like, oh, this is so brilliant. You said a Mozart meets Omar, catchy on that, like, by Ozar, like I'm wondering, if have you ever met an actor that was like a fan of you? Like, not have you met any actors? I was gonna say, have you met Michael K. Williams? And are you a fan of The Wire? I was gonna ask.
I'm a big fan of The Wire.
Yeah.
But like,
I'm a big fan of The Wire. I haven't met too many actors. I always like meeting other artists though in different worlds. Like, when I do meet an actor, I love chopping it up, because I just feel like that's where I can learn something different too. You know what I mean? A lot of rappers have that actor background.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Went to theater school or whatever, because it's the things are related. They're very
oh my God, yeah, for real. Whether it's like studio gangsterism and pretending you are something you're not, or it's just like expression, like we rhyme it, but then they're like, I got on a movie set and like the directors speak in terms of, yo, say these words on this beat, like like, and I'm like, yo, y'all talk about beats when you're talking about like delivering lines. I'm like, yo, that's our language for. I'm like, yo, this is like, yo, and then it's just about timing on, like, it's like punchline timing. So
timing,
like,
performance, there's a lot of things. So I love that. I love talking like across disciplines. I always feel like I learned something. Who have I met? I can't think of any. I'm blanking on the actors I've met. Yeah.
Okay. I promise I'm running away after this because what you just said just brought up a thought that I didn't get to ask. Like, you made a mention where you were like, I can't remember if it was Long John or another song where you were like, I'm not a comedian or whatever, and you made a reference to Dave Chappelle and Red Fox, I think, but like, I like you. I find your wit so like I find it funny. Like your cleverness makes me smile. I'm like, oh, look at the way those words are put together. Oh, look at that, like the way that meaning was twisted. That's hilarious. That's funny. That's quirky and whatever. But like you, I feel like you made a mention that you didn't feel like you were funny, or like on this new album, you're like, I want to put a joke in every song because of that. And what I wanted to ask is like, what you like the possibility of what does comedy do now that hip hop or preaching or politics can't do as far as expressing things? Like, why is Dave Chappelle able, or how can he say things that like a teacher can't or a rapper can't? Like, and like, what have you learned, or like, do you want to be funnier or anything like that?
Mm-hmm. Like I've always loved like putting, like I said, even going back to Razzcazz, like I love the humor in the way he slipped that in, or Common also, you know, has a lot of wit in his stuff. I mean, there's a difference too between being funny and being witty in music. Like, you know, MF Doom could be funny as well as witty, you know, like so that's part of the art form, and I've always loved that, you know. What else can I say about that? Like, yeah, to me, it's always been part of hip hop, and I think that goes back to Biz Markie, rest in peace, and Fat Boys, and Jay-Z can be hilarious.
Jokes, man, jokes.
Yeah.
Really, really, really funny, you know. Yeah. Kanye obviously can be so funny. Like, it's Big could be funny. Like, yeah, it's a part of the art form that I admire and practice. Like, I'm a fan of it. And okay, I guess the only thing I'll say about comedians that I really admire is some are so committed to comedy, and that's, I think, the thing that I admire the most. So like Norm Macdonald, that I interviewed Norm Macdonald on Q. Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Norm Macdonald died this past year. He had cancer for 9 years and nobody knew.
Woo!
Wow. He didn't tell anybody because it's not funny. Yeah. That's how committed he was to comedy.
Wow.
That's another level. You're
you know, and I admire that so much. You know, it made me want to cry when he died, because what that commitment is to making people laugh and making people feel good.
Right.
He's so committed to that, and that he was like, you know, I'll tell my brother and maybe one other person, but like that's it. No one else is gonna know, because I want to be able to stand up in front of people and make them laugh, and that's it. So I'm like, wow, that's inspiring. Like, that level of commitment to people, right? Like, to making people feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for wow. Yeah. Whew. Well. Any last words, man? You have generously. Thank you, Father of two.
Hey, this is the best way I can spend a Tuesday night, man. No doubt.
Love, man. Love.
You still write every day? Like, you write like is it a? That's my last question. The SHAD, right? Like the creative process. That's the last thing.
I'll take a bit of a break, like after the album is done or whatever. But I do try to write like every day if I can.
Really? You got the notebooks, the rhyme books. Yes. Yes.
I try to write all the time, you know. I'll fall out of it. I definitely fall out of it, but you know, when I can think about it, yeah, I try to write every day. I know there's no shortcut. You just have to do it.
That's it. Love.
Well, thank you for your laser ninja sword. Like it's thankful. Like you, I've got nothing left. You have answered like all the questions. I'm like super. I've no shame in being a SHAD K super fan, groupie, disciple. You're a teacher, a brother, a mentor. Like I cannot hip hop. Honestly, my mom divorced my father when he was 1. My father's dream was to see his kids be musicians, and was deported at 1. He abused women on the York University campus and got kicked out of Canada and has not been back since. And my father is in Jamaica right now, just dreaming of his kids to become a musician. And like, I never had fathering. Nas is my father. The Spider-Man is my father. Batman is my father. KRS-One is my father. Like Rakim, Chuck D is my father. Maestro is my father. Like Logik, you've guided me for 20 years as a brother. Like hip hop is my father. And like when I hear when I find out certain cats are like they don't have the integrity that their words are, like, yo, like that's like your dad lying to you and like whatever. It's heartbreaking. So like the fact that you like, to me, there's been like 3 or 4 golden boys of hip hop. Hip hop's first golden boy that nobody could ever hate was Q-Tip. The second one was Mos Def. And to me, the third one is SHAD K. And like that's how I see hip hop history. Like unhateable, undeniable, unparalleled, immaculate. So like I thank you for the example you set. I love you forever. Thank you for this.
Love you. Love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the combo. This was dope.
Okay. And you're going on tour?
Yes. Going on tour in April. In April.
Okay.
Hopefully.
American tour back in like you're gonna see America?
Yeah, a little bit, but mostly across Canada, but we'll play in the Northeast and the Northwest for now. Yeah. Hopefully.
All right, man. Well, looking forward to those updates, man, and the footage and all that, man. Wish you well on the tour, man. Spreading the gospel, yo. Blessings, yo. Salute.
Maybe in the future we chat again. We would love to have you back on the Reminisce Show. Next album, next stream, next project.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Thank you so much.
Respect for being here, brother, man. Until next time.
Peace, y'all.
Peace. Love.
Yeah, man. Woo, bro, that's 2.5 hours of gold, man. Like we really went on a whole like tour.
Yo, G, I don't know if G's still watching. I'm sorry, G. We're so wrapped up. Colleen, Righteous, Anna, yo, so much love. Oh, peace, all our people that ride with us. Anybody that didn't shout out in the comments, thank you for being there with us. We hope that we answered your questions, that we hope that it brought up things that you might have been thinking about. And
indeed, man.
Thanks for riding with me, fam.
Man, I feel full, man. Like just so many gems, man. Like we really hit all the different points, and I love that we're able to show like the broader scope of SHAD, you know, because sometimes you see one certain perceptions, like a couple songs or whatever, and then his hosting, but like there's so much more to like who he is, and we were really able to like really unpack and really showcase his brilliance, so this conversation has made me even more of a SHAD fan, and now I'm going to go back and do the same Kofa thing and really go back into the archives, and really be intentional and really study his music. So man, it's powerful, man. Powerful.
Like there is not a better writer in the culture right now. Like I don't know everybody, but like I listen to a lot of hip hop and I'm like, yo, this is the wittiest, cleverest, most positive, most uplifting, brilliant, and original hip hop I'm aware of, that I'm seeing and hearing and finding. Like there's nobody better. I'm like, if he was in Africa, if he was in Rwanda, I'd be like, yo, this Rwandan MC is better than everybody. Like on some Toomey shit or whatever. Like shout out to Toomey, but like he's up there, like Micah Nine's up there, Rascast is up there, Pharaoh Monch is up there, Nas is up there. But I'm like, all of y'all need to learn from Shad. All of y'all. Rock him. Listen to some Shad, bro. Like, yo. So thank you. We did it. We did it. It's been great. Thanks for riding with me, homie. Like, this is literally a life dream bucket list interview. Yeah. So it's setting off 2022 real good.
Oh, man. And, yo, like, next week, man, we got 100 Miles brand, yo. We bringing up Gary, man, 100 Miles. So we're just going nonstop, man. Hey.
I'm going to pull this out for him. Man. We doing our homework.
Like I said, man, Reminisce Show, man, every Tuesday, man, carrying the traditions of St. Kofa, because it's not taboo to go back and collect what we may have forgotten, man. So that's what it is, man. We're going to sign off like that. Peace to everyone who's rocking with us right to the end, man. 2.5 hours later, yo. But it's all for the cause. It's all for the cause, man. And we out like that.